I'm a college student, and my laptop recently broke. It was in the middle of the semester, so I was really in need of a new one. I searched on eBay and saw an ad for the exact laptop I was looking for. It was a miracle. It was the new HP Pavilion for an absurdly low asking price. I was so excited I immediately bought it, as it was only listed a few hours ago, and I wanted to be sure to get it before anyone else could. Although the thought of it being a scam never even crossed my mind once when buying it. As I waited a while for the laptop arrive, I'd constantly go back to the page and look at it with anticipation. I was excited. It felt like Christmas. And just over a week later, the laptop finally arrived. A bit annoyed, I noticed that there wasn't much protection for the laptop in the box it came in. But luckily it was fine, and it didn't have any visible damage. I opened the laptop and immediately saw a sticky note on the screen. It was a 4-digit PIN. I was confused. Why would the seller not remove their account prior to sending the laptop? It made no sense to give me the PIN to sign into their account. Why wouldn't you just do a hard reset before shipping it? Of course, I ignored my suspicion and used the PIN to sign into the account. When typing in the PIN, I couldn't help but notice the profile picture to the Outlook account was solid black. A bit eerie, but I continued to sign in anyway. There was nothing special at first. The background was a standard default image of a beach that Microsoft uses with its computers. I assumed all the files and everything would be cleared, and most of them were, but I couldn't help but notice some files still remained on the laptop. What sensible person would leave their files for a stranger to see? Anyway, I was looking through the files. They all looked to be normal photos and videos. They were photos of woods and a river. They didn't seem planned out though, almost as if the photos were accidents. They weren't even symmetrical, and some were just blurry and honestly terrible photos, almost as if they were purposely bad. There was also a single picture of a room. It looked very simple, plain. It had beige walls, a bed, a large vent, and a light. The light made the room look really strange. But just then, I came across a video. The video was absolutely terrifying. It featured off-putting audio, and this weird combination of videos of this man in a very disturbing Mickey Mouse mask, and it was cutting back and forth from him to some very disturbing clips that I couldn't make out. I could hear groans and some shuffling. Earth, Wind and Fire's September was also playing in the background. After a rewatch, I was very uneasy. The combination of all these things made for a very unsettling video. I instantly went back to the ad on eBay for some answers. But it was gone. I couldn't remember the seller's name, but I do remember what town it was shipped from. It was a small town in Utah I had never heard of. I looked it up to realize that that town didn't even exist. I was confused. I thought maybe this was all just some sick prank pulled by the seller, but that seemed too far-fetched. What person would go through the process of setting up an eBay ad, making this video, putting it on a nice computer and selling it at such a low cost, and even giving sign-in info of his account? It didn't make sense. There were no more files on the computer, and I tried searching for more things, any hint as to what the video was, but I found nothing. After messing around on the laptop for a bit, I decided to call it a night and head to bed. The next day, I got up at around 6:30 in the morning and went to school. When I got back home later that day, I went to my laptop and sat down, hoping to unwind for the rest of the day. I opened my laptop, and that's when I saw it. It took me a second to notice, but the profile wasn't solid black anymore. It was changed. I sunk into my chair, feeling hot flashes run through me. I sat there for a good minute or two, analyzing and trying to make out what the picture was. It was a close-up, semi-blurry picture of a front door and its doorknob. I instantly wiped everything, and I frantically began deleting the photos and the video from the files. I also removed the account from the laptop. I thought about getting rid of the laptop altogether, but I needed it for school. I couldn't get rid of it. I also would need to do some work. I'm a musician, and I also make films with my good friend. I began to install all the software I use. After about an hour, I was all set. As I began, I completely lost track of time. I had been writing and recording for hours on that computer. However, unavoidably at this point, that video came back to my mind. Specifically just how disturbing that Mickey Mouse mask was, and even the sounds from the video. That's when I saw something. My heart instantly dropped to my stomach. I noticed the light to my webcam was on. It had been on the entire time, and I had been too distracted to even notice. I sat there for a second in shock. frozen as I stared at the small light. I quickly regained my attention and slammed the screen down, shutting it. That was it. I finally took the laptop, heading outside as quickly as I could. I opened it and spread it against the curb, stomping down on it. I broke it in two and proceeded to throw it into my trash bin. I was still absolutely terrified. How long was I being watched? Who was watching me? Was the guy even from Utah? Questions raced in my mind, and of course I called the cops. I was on the phone with 911, and they said they'd send 2 cars over to check around. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think they cared. I think they just sent them to calm me down. After a 5-minute search, they told me that I'd be fine, and that there are just creeps out there who are willing to do anything to scare people. And they left. But to be fair, there wasn't really anything they could do. I didn't sleep that night, and I kept my lights on, blinds closed, doors and windows locked, and I stayed up and watched TV. But while I was doing this, it hit me. That profile picture that was originally black and had changed to a picture of a door and its doorknob. That was my front door. I moved out 2 days later, and I bought a real laptop from Best Buy. To this day, that video is still ingrained into my mind, and it still disturbs me from time to time. And I also wonder how whoever this was able to get a picture of my front door. One thing's for sure though, I will never be using eBay again.